And they should be notifying everybody. Let me know what comes up on yours.
My phone's over there if you need it.
You get it.
I just sign on.
Okay.
You're supposed to be
Yes.
great.
They are, I don't, we're just straightening everything out if y'all have joined. Oh, there's some people who joined. Okay, here we go. All right.
What is some of your
All right. Have to put my glasses on here. We have Donna and Gregory and Mia. Thank y'all for coming. We're going to wait for a few minutes before I introduce my good friend Chrissy.
So we can't pull it up in the live.
No? Okay, that's all right. I can see it on here. Okay. Hello, Kimberly. Thank y'all for coming. We are just going to wait like 2 or 3 minutes till we get some people in here, and then I'm going to introduce my very special guest. Thank y'all for coming tonight. Okay. Thank y'all for coming. We're going to start in just a couple of minutes. Welcome to the Nickel Tree. If you haven't been to a Nickel Tree Live, y'all welcome. Thank you for coming. Hammer. Hello, Angela and Becky. Thank y'all for coming. We appreciate it. I am going to go ahead and thank you all for joining. Hi, Dex. I'm going to introduce my guest because we have so much to talk about. And we've been talking actually for the last hour, 2 or 3 hours last night. So we have a lot to say. Chrissy has a lot to say. So I want to introduce Chrissy Anderson, my special guest. It's a great honor to introduce you, Chrissy. She is a woman of extraordinary courage, grace, resilience. Chrissy is the mother of Tayt Anderson, who recently passed away at the age of 19. Tayt was born with half a heart. After receiving his transplant, he went on to face the unimaginable, which he had to battle cancer associated with transplant patients. Though he fought bravely and experienced a period of, hey, we don't have to worry about it too much, he relapsed last year and transitioned from this world just last month. Tayt's story, if you want to, how do I know that name? His story touched hearts across the globe. Many came to know him as Ellen's only boyfriend. After his unforgettable connection with Ellen DeGeneres, who stood beside the Andersen family through some of their most difficult moments. But beyond the headlines and television appearances, Tayt's true legacy is one of joy, resilience, and love, an impact so profound it continues to ripple through every life he touched. In honor of her son's wishes, Chrissy is now stepping forward with her own journey, her own story, speaking to families and friends and professionals who have experienced a loss of a child of any age, helping them find light and hope from the other side of the veil. Chrissy, in every sense of the word, is a brave little lady who has faced what, as we parents, fear most, and that would be losing one of our children. But she leads with grace, faith, and compassion, and I am so deeply proud to call her my friend. This is Chrissy Anderson. This is Chrissy Anderson first, and also Tayt's mom. So I know that you're going to have to get used to Chrissy Anderson coming before Tayt Anderson, because normally that's how you're associated, and I know that that's fine with you, but I know you're going to do wonderful, wonderful things. I want to start off of how the heck did Chrissy and I meet? It was the craziest thing. As most of y'all know, I started a TikTok July of 2024, and it was kind of a truth or dare thing. My daughter says, "Why don't you tell that Monteleone story?" And it just grew and grew and grew and went viral, and then I started telling all kind of New Orleans stories. I am born and raised here in New Orleans, and one day I got a message, and it was from Chrissy. I'm going to tell you I'm not telling you. Chrissy's going to let you know what happened.
So I always like to say there's no accidents in the universe ever. And we just so happened to be at a doctor's appointment with Tayt, and we were waiting forever to be seen, test done, and I was scrolling on TikTok, and Jill showed up on my feed out of nowhere.
And that was like, I started the end of July, and that was like early August.
Right, yeah, so it was just after...
Pretty quick in.
Yeah, it was just after Tayt got diagnosed with stage 4 bladder cancer. So I was in this... All of us were... My family was kind of in this rough period of just accepting what we had just been told. And obviously, I was scrolling through TikTok, and on my feed... the nickel tree pops up, and I stopped number 1 because she said she was from New Orleans, which New Orleans has a special place in my soul.
Hence the bourbon.
I mean,
Hear the Bourbon
here's
Street
the Bourbon Street
t-shirt, which I love.
And Tayt is sitting next to me, and I'm listening, and Tayt being Tayt goes, "Mom," and I was like, "Yeah, what, buddy?" And he's like, "I know her." And I'm like, "I don't know." Okay, Tayt. And with Tayt, I've just learned that he just knows things, sees things, and that's the way it is. And he goes, "No, Mom, she's going to help you when I'm not here anymore." And so after that moment of experience, I sat in what he had told me and randomly DM'd Jill and told her, "Hey, this is our story. This is who I am. This is what is happening. And I just wanted you to know that my little boy said I'm supposed to reach out to you and let you know that this is going to be a thing." So thanks for trusting a stranger.
Yeah. So she did send, like, look us up on the Ellen Show. And they came up, but it was a crazy thing, because I immediately knew, like, you're going to be a speaker on behalf of him, and I don't even know. Like you said, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, and I said, I think you're supposed to speak about this, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We're at the bridge. We're
Right.
standing on the bridge. So different people, deal with different things. For you, it helps you to speak. We had dinner last night at the Columns Hotel, which was wonderful, and it was great. Like, we met there. Your husband came to make sure I wasn't an axe murderer and stuff, and so
Right, and and her sweet family double checked to make sure I was really who I was.
We had to check it all out, because you never know. But we had a lovely meal and lots of reminiscing about Tayt. We'll get back into that in a few minutes. I do I do want to focus on, because that's what we do here at the Nickel Tree, I want to focus on Tayt's gifts and your gifts, and how I all played the crazy part in all of this. But tell me about Tayt's intuition abilities. And I told you last night, which I truly believe, that he lived in two worlds. Like, he lived here, but he had this euphoria around him. So tell us about that.
The story that like always comes to mind that like cements every detail of Tayt's gifts for me is Tayt was listed for a heart transplant. He waited 9 months, and it is brutal. It's brutal all around.
And how old was he when he got his transplant?
He was 10.
10.
10.
Mm-hmm.
But he had waited 9 months, so almost a year.
Yeah.
And his transplant surgery was 24 hours, and it was the longest 24 hours of my life.
Yeah.
And then after everything had gone the way they thought, but they kept him induced in a coma. They said we usually keep him induced for about 48 hours just to kind of let the body get adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously removing something and putting something of somebody else's in. And as Tayt slowly started to wake up, you could tell that he wanted to say something, he just didn't know how to say it. And then finally, after, all the doctors had left and it was Tayt and I just sitting in there, and he goes, "Mommy, my heart came from a little girl." And I was like, okay, like, all right.
They didn't have that information.
I don't. And that's, I want to clarify that. When you receive any type of organ donation, pediatric wise, obviously kidney and liver are different, but heart is really big. You can't communicate with your donor family, period, for at least a minimum of a year. Mm-hmm. And then you don't even, it then goes to your, transplant social worker, who then gives it to that family. So there's no way of knowing these things.
And he even knew how she had passed.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, buddy. And he's like, yeah. So she sat with me and held my hand, and we watched Dr. Birch, who was his cardiothoracic surgeon. He goes, "Dr. Birch, take my old heart out and put her heart in for my new heart," because she had drowned. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay. And then a year and a half later, we actually had gotten confirmation that his donor was a little girl. She was about 5, and she had passed away in a boating accident.
Wow.
Yeah. So
he was definitely, of course, like, we just met in person last night.
Yep.
But we communicated back and forth, and I remember you had told me that story in one of our messages back and forth. I want to go into let me back up just a little bit, because those of you who've been following the Nickel Tree from pretty much the beginning, people would say, "Jill, do you give readings, or you?" And I'd say that's just too much responsibility. I don't want to do that, and because it is. I mean, it's a lot of, for me it is.
Yeah.
But it's, you study and you do different techniques, and you learn a lot of information. And so when Tayt came along, I decided, not really telling anybody, that I was going to need to communicate with him after he passed. And before you called me on that Sunday night, he had passed on Friday. Yep. Before you even called me, I didn't know what was going on, but I knew something was going on. And so you messaged me that Sunday, and this never happened to me like this clearly, but I learned a few techniques. I'm being tutored by Sid Patrick, who's a medium, and taking classes and different things. But one of the things that I learned from Suzanne Geisman, was a very new thing about focusing like on your core and putting your hands out and asking someone, whoever you're trying to communicate with, put something in my hand. So the very first night you told me, he said, tell my mom. I went straight up. I zoomed up. And it's beautiful. And it's so many flowers. Tell my mother I'm bringing her flowers. And I was like, okay, I don't even have your mother's phone number. I have never, like we're like TikTok friends, right?
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
She just lost a child,
And
What are you talking about? The following Saturday, after him saying that to me every day, I'm sitting there, and I said, put something in my hand. And he said 2 things. Tell her I'm bringing her flowers, and a frog. He puts a frog. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So I was telling Chrissy a few minutes ago, I'm at the gym, and it's like, call my mom. And I'm like, well, just TikTok Messenger. No, you got to call her. So that's what I did. I said, I cannot call you. Now, this is just, a week and 2 days after he had passed. So, of course, it's such a vulnerable time. But you were like, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get on the phone, and I said, I believe your little boy has been messaging me. I kept calling him a little boy because I had no idea. I never looked at a video of him or anything. I had no idea that Tayt was actually operating on a 6-year-old level.
Yep.
Now, like I told you, I don't think he still is in heaven, but to know that it's him, evidentially, he has to show things.
Right.
So I'm going to let you tell the second half of the story that happened, because she was like, okay, thanks, little TikTok lady.
I didn't think that, because I have learned.
But you did take
Right,
it.
I did. And when she was like, can I call? I was having a really rough day because his birthday was October 4th. So he had been gone a week, and then his birthday hit. And when you lose a child, certain things come up. Their birthdays, holidays, anybody that knows, like, you're kind of stuck in this rough space is the easiest way to explain
I have not
it.
been there, but I can imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
But I also was like, Tayt's gifted. I'm really open to what anybody says, because I do know he'll confirm that it's really him.
Yeah. And that's important.
Right. So Jill tells me this, and I was like, I mean, I kind of don't know what this means. Usually, obviously, we can sum up flowers. Everybody sends flowers.
And I said that on the phone. I said,
right.
This is so lame. I'm telling you, he's sending you flowers. Like, I feel like so stupid saying this.
But I had felt like it was genuine, and I had felt like, okay, if it's really from Tayt, like, he's going to show me that it is really from him.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, a few hours later, his special education teacher, her name's Miss Colt, he loved her so much. And they had the saying, like, be kind words. And I love you, I love you, I love you. So she comes, she's at the door. My husband gets the door, and she comes in, and she is covered head to toe in this beautiful dress with pink, yellow, white flowers head to toe. Even her earrings were hoops that had different types of flowers on the bottom, and then her flip-flops had these bright pink flowers on them. And I was like, okay. And then she brought a bouquet of roses that are yellow. I mean, the brightest yellow you could think of. And I literally was like, okay. And
he said the colors were beautiful.
Right, very bright.
Yeah.
And then what really got me is after sitting and talking for a little bit, and you're kind of in this, I'm just here. But I was paying attention enough now that I was like, okay, there's all these flowers. We'll come to find out that he always told Miss Cope that she was Princess Tiana from Princess and the Frog, and he was the frog, but when he beat his cancer and got better, he was going to be the prints. So that is something that nobody knows. Jill doesn't know. I didn't know until I was told.
No, I was so happy when she texted me that night. I was like, okay. I was so happy he was talking to me.
Yeah. So that to me was like, okay, like this is really Tayt. This is where we're at. And, you know, I'm really open to whatever, because they'll communicate with whoever is vibrating where they need to be.
Right.
So,
which, you know, Chrissy is also a medium, and right now, it's just okay that I mean, you're in, you know, deep grief, so it's okay that it's not, you know, they can't come, like, I know he's sending you signs, but directly.
but it's okay. It's not me directly.
It's okay if you have a messenger.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, and just all kind of things that he has sent, and I'm like, okay, here you go. I'm like, but you know, they do say in everything that I've studied, Sid definitely says too, you know, just tell them everything, even if it's wrong. A few minutes ago, I was like, yeah, Chrissy, you know, like, I'm like, one day I'm just driving on the highway, and he's like, hey, here's this red ball. Tell my mother about it. I'm like, okay, no, I'm not telling her about the red ball. She goes, no, the red ball really is something.
It is something. So, like, Tay had a Lightning McQueen ball, and when he was not happy with certain things, period, or in the hospital he would throw it as his way to basically be like, I'm done with this today.
Yeah.
You don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. And then, you know, going through some of his things, you know, there's this Lightning McQueen ball. So,
yeah. Well,
again,
I will tell you everything. I'm going to tell you every single thing, even if it seems silly, because to be able to bring just like a little bit of, oh, okay, yes, that's him, you know, kind of to feel not on my benefit, but on yours, because on anybody who does this, you know, you have that sense of, oh, I hope they don't think I'm just silly or making this up.
Right.
But it's better to just tell them than to not, especially somebody who has lost a loved one. And I know you'll be doing that work as well in the future. And so, you know, I know that you love New Orleans, and you said that one of the things was, you know, she lives in New Orleans and she was raised there. Why is this a special place for you here in New Orleans? What is it? Because
so first I want to preference that I grew up in Idaho Falls, Idaho, which is nowhere close to New Orleans in any way, shape, or form. And I have been obsessed with New Orleans since I was a little girl. And then through high school, I was like, that is where I'm going to go. I'm going to live. I'm going to go to school like at LSU. This is what I want to do. Never happened, but I was still obsessed with New Orleans. And I had an opportunity in 2004 before Katrina. I was going on a cruise with my grandparents, and my grandpa changed. Instead of going out of Fort Lauderdale, he changed to come out of New Orleans. So I at least got to spend like one day here, and I felt like home. So then, it's been 3 years now. My husband brought me for my birthday. And that is when a lot of things started really shifting with my gifts, or seeing things and understanding, because there's something about New Orleans and the way they celebrate a lot of things. Yeah. And one thing that always stood out to me was the way that they celebrate passing of their loved ones. It is just as exciting as the birth of a loved one. And that gave me comfort in a way that I didn't like the mourning and how sad it was, knowing that I was going to lose my child, because it wasn't a matter of if, it was always when.
Right.
So the idea of seeing you celebrate who the person was, their life, and everything, that always touched my soul in a way that I've never really been able to explain. But since Tayt's passing, it has really cemented why, because of how special he was and how many people he touched, that I don't want to spend in the morning, because I can't see signs or hear signs when I'm in a place that doesn't vibrate where they are at. And
Yes.
which is why we came here, because my husband was like, I need to take you to New Orleans. I feel like it's just going to be what you need to heal your heart a little bit. And this has been one of the most magical and amazing trips for not only myself, but in my grieving process and within, just as a whole.
Do you want to tell what you did while you were here?
So I had...
Or Tayt?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Tayt cremated because I wanted him to be free of his bodily prison. In my head was the easiest way, because he didn't know anything different. He was born sick, and I didn't want him to stay forever sick in how I looked at things. So I was blessed enough that it just happened to be the perfect day, and I was able to go put his ashes at the Tree of Life here. And then I had something tell me, take some soil back from the Tree of Life. Again, I'm married to a Hawaiian, which in his culture you don't do that.
Yeah.
But it felt right and perfect, and so I was able to bring Tayt not only to a place that is super special to me, but like the Tree of Life, actually, like to give him back that way. So no matter who goes there, in a way gets to feel Tayt, and he can bless them or be with them that way. So that was my big
Yeah.
my big day.
But that was your healing. That was well, not all the way. Like
No, but like it was a part.
Right.
It was closure
Right.
in a sense, but
Yeah.
it was also. It just felt like that's where a part of him wanted to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
He's just such a special person. And now, before Tayt passed, and we met, and he said, this lady's going to help you. And I'm like,
okay.
Okay, our families are studying to see if we're axe murderers to each other.
We are not.
But
So
we
everybody
are not.
knows.
We are good friends, and forever, I'm sure. But you are part of your healing is helping other people who have lost children, and maybe just giving them an insight into where you were with Tayt, and that to me, like when I can tell somebody something about something that has happened to one of my children, which I've never lost a child, so I'm not going to even compare at all. But it always helps when you're coming from a place that like you have it like buried, in your soul. And I do believe that you're going to help a lot of people. What did you and Tayt? What he was in on it? What does he wanted you to do?
I think Tayt's legacy came as no matter what odds and obstacles, honestly, he was faced with, because he was a bad bet, and I know that sounds horrible to say, but in my mind, that's the only way that I can really wrap around like how medically, statistically, he wasn't supposed to survive 3 hours. He wasn't supposed to survive 3 days, and then we thought it was just, a heart issue, and then it ended up being something else more complicated, which then everything just seemed to stack. And there were so many times doctors would be like, well, we could do this, but he's not going to survive it.
Right.
No matter. And
so
I
kept losing him over and over, but then not really.
But then not really.
Yeah.
Right. So it was kind of like just kidding, even though it really wasn't. Because every time, to kind of throw together, in his lifetime, he had 9 open heart surgeries, a heart transplant. He had hydrocephalus and had 4 shunt infections, 27 shunt revisions, both his hips replaced, and then to get PTLD cancer, and then to get stage 4 bladder cancer, and then to also be, mentally delayed how he was, I mean, on paper, he shouldn't have ever made it past what he was. And one thing I learned was he was going to do whatever the heck he wanted to do. And I needed to fight no matter how hard or how many odds were against me. And that's like one thing I've really learned that we talked about, like intuition wise, which regardless if you've lost a child or not, there is something about mother instincts, father instincts. I mean, you were born with these instincts, and I will always say follow your gut because it is.
We had talked about healing and like you said, like having celebration of life, which hopefully is becoming more, that people do that. But we were saying, how do you help? And one of the things I think what would help, but a lot of people fear, is just opening yourself up to seeing someone, seeing a medium. Now, I will tell you, 10 years ago, I would have been like, girl, I'm not reading my horoscope because, I've done a lot of bad stuff in my life. I don't want to make it worse. But I was so scared. I was so, fearful. And then it was the nickel tree, honestly. And it was just like, okay, I'm not afraid. Every time Sid Patrick and I meet, and he tells me more and more stuff, and he's like, no, I'm going to tell you, and this, and I'm like, I'm not afraid. Not afraid. And that's the whole thing. I think, though, if you could see, okay, they're alive across the veil. They're just as much alive as you and I are sitting here, but they're in a different form. It doesn't help with the pain of losing a child at all. But when you can get some kind of evidence from maybe someone who, for right now, I believe that you will be able to just, get messages from them all the time. Right now, I'm just the surrogate, kind of giving you information. But there are so many people who are gifted and can help. And if you're open to that, to just help you, just to know they're okay and to know they're in paradise. I wish that when you went to funeral homes, they were like, would you like us to set you up with a medium?
Yeah, no,
wouldn't that be beautiful? That'd be so wonderful. I know some people are going to disagree with me on YouTube or TikTok, and that's okay. That's okay. I just believe everybody got to meet you where you're at, and I would have been one of those people 10 years ago. But now the healing that comes for people when they go and talk to people, I just know just friends of Trenny Simmons and Sid and Misty Gaither. It's they really help people. It's really, I said the other day, Misty was here, I said we all have full-time jobs, but they make time to help people also. And I definitely think I'm just your little surrogate right now. I prepared for a whole year for this tape. Okay, you can send me red balls and rocks by the tree. Puts a rock in my hand the other day and puts a tree, and I'm like, I'm not telling him that.
No, you should. And I say that a lot.
It was something.
Yeah. And it is, I was vulnerable enough to share my little boy with millions of people because I never knew what parents were going through, whether they had a special needs child, a terminally ill child, or a healthy child that then got cancer. I mean, none of us plan this in our heads. I think we think, okay, we're going to have a child, they're going to be healthy, and we're going to live a storybook life, right? That's what we do. And then when that dream is kind of shattered and you have to create your own new way of life, you experience a lot of things that make you realize, hey, this isn't the normal. It doesn't have to be the normal. My normal can be different, and it's perfect that the way that it is. Mm-hmm. And I think the more we talk about it, the more we address it, the more we create this safe, vulnerable space, whether through me or through you, then that's when things shift and that's when things change. Yeah. Just like we talked about, I want you to ask me about my son. For me, because he was the most amazing person to me. So when you ask and talk about him, like, that's a little bit more that he touches somebody else's life, right?
He's still alive.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I know he's free of things, but it's not his journey anymore. It's my journey, because
That's right.
maybe somebody on this live or somebody will watch this later and they'll go, my world is falling apart and this sucks. And for us to say, hey, it's okay, I get it, and it does suck. Let's just be honest, this sucks.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to stay stuck in this. And it can be turned into life-changing experiences, and we can make it look different. It doesn't have to look a specific way.
Yeah. Well, last night, we were talking, and he said, Jill, I just where do I start? And I kind of half jokingly, because I was like, okay, she's not going to want to do this. Because you just lost a child. So it's like, okay. So you want to come on a live with me tomorrow night? We can that's where you start?
Yep.
And she's like, yeah. So towards the end of the dinner, I was like, you think you kind of really do want to come on this live, and this is where you start? And she's like, yes, I want to come. So that's how I wound up with, because I usually don't come on Wednesday nights, but you're leaving town tomorrow, so I wanted to hurry up and get you in, so that you can reach people. And TikTok usually or doesn't, we don't record these and then you see it later, but YouTube does, and so we have recorded it and we're going to put it on YouTube, just to get your journey started with helping others. I do want to say that, there were many beautiful people that helped you journey, and one of the people, and honestly, I had never watched The Ellen Show in my whole life, but she had a very special meaning to your family. How did that happen?
So again, this is when I say that Tayt knew what he was doing on a level that I was not ever going to understand. But he always used to watch the Ellen Show in the hospital, and then it kind of just became a thing that at 4 o'clock Tayt would watch Ellen, and that's just the end of it, and we let him do it, and it's fine. And then one day he literally looked at me and he's like, Mom, she's my girlfriend and I'm going to go to Disneyland with her. And I was like, okay, buddy. Yep, you bet. And then it just kind of all of a sudden snowballed. So his honorary Nana was like, I'm calling the local news stations. We'll get this done for him. That, why not? What's the worst they're going to tell us is no. So then our local TV station picked it up. Then Salt Lake City, which was the biggest city next to us, picked it up. And then Las Vegas picked it up. And it just so happened that the Ellen Show had sent some of her production team to do the iHeart Music Awards in Las Vegas. And our producer got a break, went up to her hotel room, flipped on the TV, and then the news story was playing on the TV. And that's how they saw that. And then Tayt has this thing where you meet him and you instantly fall in love with him.
Yeah,
and
I watched the videos just 2 days ago. I knew nothing about this little boy, and I kept calling him a little boy, knowing he was 19.
But he was.
I had no idea he mentally was a 6-year-old. I had no idea. I kept saying to you, the little boy will not leave me alone. And so you went on many times on Ellen. She was good to your family. I mean, she just wanted to do everything she could.
She would send... I don't post certain things because they were private between her and and him, right?
Of course.
But she would call him, send him videos, see how he was doing. What can I send, for him to feel better? And this has hit her extremely hard. Oh,
yeah,
pretty much like all of us.
She made a beautiful video. Yeah,
she did. And I just, again, the comfort that I have in some things is like, I have a little boy that touched millions of people's lives. Millions.
Yeah. And will continue to do so.
Oh, yeah.
Through you. I have some beautiful people on here. So let me see.
Yeah.
We have some comments here. Glenda said you were meant to live here. Glenda lives, I don't know exactly in New Orleans, but I know she lives nearby. And Sid said the door's open. I think that's to me. And he says she will see a kite get away from someone, and that is a purposeful action. And if he said it, it's going to happen, girl.
Probably, yeah.
Not probably. He sees it. I'm telling you, he's
I'm
so
like,
good.
I don't know what height.
That's who I go to
totally
school with. Okay, and Jamie said she's praying for your family. Yeah, we have such great people on the Nickel Tree who I know that they will support your journey. Someone will know someone and say, we need her, and it will start with just something, small. And I think for you, it helps you to heal by speaking and serving and just sharing. You're a very loving person.
Yeah.
But you have a lot of love to give, and you did that for 19 years, almost 20, and physically, you're not doing that anymore. So I want to make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Right.
Which you're not, because you're barely eating. Yeah.
I think that...
You told me that too.
I know, I did. I think that what happened in my experience, and when you're a caregiver, whether parent, sibling, child, is it does become so much a part of who you are that at the end of the day, it intertwines so much with who you yourself are. And I know, like you said, introduction, this is Chrissy, this is Tayt's mom, and I've always kind of
You've always been
put
Tayt's
together
mom.
Tayt's mom, and I'm honored that I got to be Tayt's mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also starting a journey of, okay, well, who really is Chrissy now?
Who are you becoming?
Right. And
Who are you
I
becoming?
get to rediscover my inner child and open my gifts while also being okay, knowing that my little boy is okay and he's on his own journey doing great things on the other side. And when I need a pick-me-up or I need reassurance or anything actually at this point, that he'll make sure that I get it. And it'll be through a intentional person with an intentional gift to let me know, like, hey, you're doing a good job, Mom, or keep doing this. This is what you're supposed to be doing, and it's okay for you to be doing this, to figure out who you are and what you're doing. And I know I just want to say, even that way, it's okay to not know who the heck we are. I mean, but it's okay to start really sitting in that space to figure out who you are.
Would you be comfortable, and you can say no, but
Absolutely, go for it.
Could you tell everybody listening, like, those last moments with Tayt?
Yeah. So the last time Tayt actually talked to us was Monday, and he just didn't feel good, and he was having a pretty rough day. And so his amazing palliative care team, hospice team, was like, I think we're hitting this space where we need to probably increase more pain medication. And I was like, all right, but if I do, he's not going to be coherent to speak to me. But I didn't want to be selfish and have him hurt to keep him,
right,
just so I could, for my own.
I get that, yeah.
So Tayt and I had always promised, and when I say we promised, it was more like, hey, please, from me, you need to tell me when you're going to go. I just want to be with you. We've done this from the moment you were born. Please just let me be here when I'm with you. So the night that, or the early morning that he passed, his brother and I were in his room and we watched this movie, Real Steel. Zeus comes into play, we've talked about. And then I put on the movie Cars, and I was starting to drift asleep, and all of a sudden I heard, "Mommy, I'm gonna go." And I woke up, and I literally was blessed enough to see my child take his last breath in the most peaceful, beautiful way possible. And then in the movie, obviously, Cars, when Lightning tells Mater to take the boot off because he doesn't want to fix the road anymore, Lightning literally goes, and off he goes. And that was the same time that Tayt went.
It was his last breath.
And then Lightning McQueen.
And she thought she was just taking like the last picture.
I did take a picture.
And it was actually,
it was
by no mistake, it was a video. And she showed it to me, and in the background is the movie Cars playing. He takes his last breath, and the car's like just a lightning bolt, just right out from the screen. And you have to watch it a couple of times to see it, but it was so significant. So significant, and he is associated with so many stories. I was telling Chrissy last night, with lightning. I'm sitting there listening to her, and who brings up the word Zeus? And Zeus is the god of lightning. And I'm like, what is going on here? You know, like I said, that looked like, you know, it was Lightning McQueen, but it looked like lightning when he was leaving. I thought it was such a significant thing that he was literally a lightning bolt here on Earth.
Yeah.
And we're talking about that earlier, about how so many people, maybe with special needs, Alzheimer's, autism, and y'all know I have told many stories about this. Don't discount it, because, I mean, so many studies that have shown they're telling you very important information, or they have autistic children that are talking to each other.
Right.
They're not verbal, and they're talking to each other. They're talking to their mom through their minds. And it's like, who's on the low level here? Well, they can communicate telepathically, you know. So I just think there were so many things with your son, although he was like a 6-year-old, there were so many higher level things. And, you know, I do believe, I think you do too, is that he was, you know, an old soul.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. The way, I mean, to know Tayt, or to even watch Tayt, was unconditional love. And I honestly sit here and go, I am not sure why he picked me to be his mom, but I'm honored that I got to be his mom. But I also know that through this whole process, I learned to stand within my power and my voice and my intuition, and to fight like hell if I needed to for my child. And I've kind of gone through this space of honoring, like, that is me. It didn't just, yes, it's a gift by all means, but it wasn't just a gift with Tayt. And so now I'm sitting in this space, like we've talked about, where we have this gift, and it's just as powerful and it's just as meaningful, that I'm lucky enough that my little boy just happened to be that old soul that was like, hey, you have this, you're going to use it, I'm going to teach you to use it through me, but you don't get to just be done with it because my mission's complete. You have to continue to work on your gifts and journal and meditate and really be open, because, again, surrounding...
Correct me if I'm wrong. I know we went through one of our messages like this back and forth.
Yeah.
Aren't you a pediatric cardiac nurse?
Yeah. So, Okay, but there's a story. Like, I did it because I was tired of doctors ignoring my
And this
intuition.
is after he was born. You went to nursing school.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, girl.
I went to nursing school while he was actually like living at Primary Children's Medical Center, and I was going to the University of Utah through the nursing program, and I was also passing school because I had amazing, they call it the PICU, pediatric ICU, nurses. While I was blessed to have a whole team that helped while I was there, but I did it because I was so frustrated and I was so pissed off that because I was just a mom with an intuition, or I was just, because let's be honest, doctors are amazing people. They go to a lot of school and I love them, and there are some that just kick ass at their job, and then there are some, like we've talked about, that act like Zeus, that like, or a god that like, this is what we're doing, and I like, this is my patient, not that this is my child.
Mm-hmm.
And so it kind of was out of, okay, well, it wasn't kind of, it was out of spite because I was pissed off enough that I wasn't going to let, I wanted to know what medical terms were. I wanted to know what options I had. I wanted to be invested in the conversation, and I wanted to fight with evidence behind me. And so that is
And I think
what
that
I did.
as you speak, you'll be able to come from that point of view as well, that you have that knowledge, and that will help you in helping others. If y'all are just joining us, this is Chrissy Andersen. She is working on public speaking. She lost her son, Tayt. See, I didn't say Tayt's mom. I didn't say it.
You didn't.
But you are.
But I am Tayt's mom. Forever, yeah.
But she lost Tayt just last month, and he was born with half a heart. He did pass from a cancer caused by a transplant, when you get a transplant, which I had no idea. Like, I was 2 years old. I had no idea. And so he has passed, and he has a beautiful story, and I know that you're going to tell it beautifully. So that is who we're talking to today, Chrissy Andersen. If you ever want to see Tayt, he's precious and adorable. He was on the Ellen Show many, many times.
You just YouTube his name.
Yes, he's a darling boy, even as we speak. Glenda, yes. I didn't know you were a special needs teacher. That is so beautiful.
Thank you.
The children are her heart. I bet you can agree with that.
Yep.
And you could tell me stories. I would love to hear any stories. Y'all know, come on, this is a nickel tree. You can send me. You can send me anything. And I love hearing stories just about that. You can't discount a child just because he's always going to be a 6-year-old. Like, we were talking before, and she said something so beautiful. She said, imagine you always live with the magic of Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You know, how beautiful is that? I think you just have to define the beauty in things like that. And I think that you're going to have a way of sharing that with people and truly helping those who are suffering.
But I think you also got a learning experience yourself with your gifts, out of this, of you being like, well, I don't know if I'm going to say these things.
Yes.
You got to give me something more, or she's not going to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
When in fact, you didn't need anything more than what he gave you to have a conversation. So to me, I'm like, see, you need to do that more. So,
right.
That's just.
Well, I did it for Tayt. I guess it'll go into other things.
Right.
Sid's listening. He knows I'll be calling him to school.
Yeah.
And even yesterday, I'm not quite sure the day that he was cremated, but there was one day that I started thinking about, okay, I know she's going to put like a necklace or something, and I'm like, okay, I just, you don't know what to say, and Chrissy's an amazing, very strong person. And yesterday morning, about the time that we met last year, that's how all of these things are just like, oh my gosh, this is all puzzle pieces coming together. People were saying you need to sell things on TikTok and different things, and I was like, all right, I'll order some stuff. I ordered this big thing of earrings that came on this card. I never really even looked at them. I put them in my drawer. But I do remember they had ones that had feathers, like these feathers. And so we were going out to dinner last night, and I said, oh, let me go find those earrings. So I pull out the card, and I realize that, and I never had seen them before, on the card, just brand new, they had these little earrings that had trees on them. Now, it turns out, I really didn't think it was a tree of life. I just liked it that it was trees. It does turn out that they were Hawaiian trees, which your husband is. So I pulled them off, and I opened up my jewelry chest, and I had these bracelets in there I had bought for my birthday and never wore. And there was a pink one in there. And I thought, pick that one. She'll love that one. And I'm like, okay, here. Like a little kid, like when they go shopping for their mom for Christmas. I'm like, she's not going to like this, but okay, I'll put it in the box. And then I said, I have to get a box to put it in. So I just reached in. I have all these boxes and stuff of different things. And I opened it up, and they had this little tiny chain with this little tiny, tiny heart. I'm not sure. Joey might have given it to me or something, but he gives me lots of hearts. And I said, okay, I'll leave that in there too. So I throw the bracelet in, and of course I put the earrings in, and I put the top on. And I will tell you all what it said in a second. But so we're sitting there having dinner last night, and she says, I don't know what I'm becoming, whatever. I said, stop. Okay, stop. Hold on. So I pull out the box, don't show her the top of it yet, and I said, okay, so here's the tree earrings.
Right. Without knowing that I had gone to the tree of life earlier. Or anything about my husband at the time.
But it was like, okay, here's these tree earrings. I don't even know if you like them, but I mean, it's
They're
like
beautiful.
you never need them. Like you never even you need to wear them. And I'm like, okay, I don't know why I'm giving you this bracelet, but here's this bracelet. Like I'm loading this stuff out, and she says, I had some of his ashes put into a bracelet. And I really feel like it was Tayt saying, Mom, I know I'm with you. I know I'm on that bracelet. And then the little heart, of course, I love you. But when I put the top back on, I said, look what it says. The top box, I have no idea where I got this from. It says, becoming.
Yep.
So it's you are becoming,
right,
Chrissy.
You
are becoming, and I really believe he's very excited about that and wants to help you on your journey. I don't think I need to say that like as a mediumship thing. I'm saying that mom to mom, friend to friend. I really believe that.
Well, and I think like we talked about, there's even being caregiver, mother, sibling, this part, like there is kind of this stigmatism of guilt that if you try and move forward or adjust, that we're leaving our loved one behind, but we're, in my belief, and after we talked, we're not, because I know my son doesn't want me to stay in this space. It's okay to honor that space.
Yes.
Completely.
Yeah.
But it's also okay for me to step into who I am and my power and what I am becoming with my gifts, because now I have, in my belief, a little boy. Like I couldn't ask for a better guide, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
well, I know that you haven't had time this time, coming because you're on a different journey here.
right.
But next time you come in town, I just want you to meet these beautiful people.
I would love to.
Just the whole group. And all just so very kind and embracing and the epitome of what New Orleans is.
Oh, if you've never been here, come visit.
Yeah. I actually have someone else from TikTok coming next week, and, it just kind of feels the same way. But, in a different way. But, I think that it was really fascinating that you said when you came here, you felt like I've been here before.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always been a person that I never want to leave. I know, this is home for me, like that. People say, I went to, New York. I was here in another life. I think I was really here, either here in another life
Oh, for sure.
Or in some kind of like little European place that looks just like it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like, it's terrible. Like, I don't travel. I'll be traveling on the cruise, on Sid's cruise to go and speak and all with them. I've never done anything like that in my life, And so, I have 7 kids too. So, like, we kind of had to put the money all into them.
There's something about here that I think heals a part of your soul, whether
Yes.
you've experienced loss in some way, no
Yeah.
matter what way it is, or hurt, or you're just kind of trying to figure out anything.
Yeah.
But not only is the land here sacred, the people here are kind, embracing, and loving, and you will meet somebody here that will impact your life in some way that either helps heal that part of what you're trying, or either has a tool that you can take away, or a gift, or something to assist you on that journey of moving the way that you need to, which is, I haven't left my house obviously in a hot minute because it's just been too much. And I'm just thankful my husband was like, no, we're going, I'm taking you.
Yeah.
And he knew to bring me here. So, and then,
Hey, you might consider going on that Touching Eternity cruise.
Right.
Seriously, that's like right up your alley. You're like, okay, get your stuff, Eric. We're moving. We're going to New Orleans. Anyway, it has been a joy, a pleasure, and so beautiful having you here. And now every time you come into New Orleans, we could just do a split screen.
Oh yeah, always.
Like you don't even need to do that.
No, that's an excuse. Like it's a reason to come here though. So
okay. It has to be in person now. Okay.
Right, just kidding. Yep.
And anytime you're in person, we'll have you come.
Right.
So I see beautiful and big things for you, and I know Tayt does too. And I know you will continue with your healing in your own way. And y'all just remember, everybody heals in their own way. So, her way is to heal is to speak and to like just involve herself in like being out. If that's not your way, that's fine too. And she's the first one to admit that. And like I said, I think the funeral home should start saying, would you like me to get you in touch with a medium? Because I really think that would help people. Anyway, that's a whole nother show. Anyway, we are going to head out for tonight, but you are such a princess, and the frog has now become a prince. He wants you to know he's a prince. Thank you so much, Chrissy. All right, y'all have a beautiful night, and I will see you tomorrow. And Drake is going to come show me how to turn this off.